Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney, and today we're gonna go book shopping. As any avid reader, one of my favorite hobbies in the world is buying books. I do believe that buying books and reading books are two separate hobbies. So today we're going to be diving into a little bit of one of my favorite hobbies, which is buying some books. I'm going to be going to Powell's, which is one of my local bookstores, which is so nice because they sell new and used books. And today I do think I'm going to end up with quite a few books because I do have a little bit of a list going. First and foremost, I need to get the next book in the Throne of Glass series. I'd like to get the second and the third one. I don't know what they're called, so I'm maybe gonna look up a list or something, but I hope to get those. I also would love if I could get the second through the fifth ACOTAR book because I finished those a while ago and I want to have them physically. I remember thinking that collecting books was such an interesting hobby and I was hating on it a little bit. And now after reading on my Kindle, I get it because I finished these books on my Kindle and I love them. And I'm like, no, I must own them. They must be mine. I must be able to touch them. I want to get all the ACOTAR books. I would love if I could find a copy of Misery because I did really enjoy reading that one. By a Thread by Lucy Score. I would love to get a copy of that one. These are all books that I've already read. So as far as new to me books, I would love if I could get Throne of Glass. I would love if I could find The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, and maybe just pick up a couple of beachy reads for this summer. Let's get book shopping. So I got back from Powell's last night around 9 o'clock and I was exhausted. So I decided to film the haul portion today. And I did want to point out a couple of things. One, if you were very astute, you noticed that I braided my hair two different ways in yesterday's little clip that I filmed. I had one Dutch braid and one regular French braid. I noticed that like 6 hours after I braided my hair. So I just thought that that was funny. Number two, I realized that I am very cheap and book prices are they're just a little bit crazy for me right now. A regular paperback book is like between $16 and $19 and a hardback book is between $26 and $30, and it's too much. And I'm sad because I feel like everybody's really into reading right now, which is so exciting. But it used to be at Powell's that you could find pretty cheap versions of newer books because people would return them. But it seems like Powell's is having to stock up on new copies of books, so you can't find any newer release like within the last year for under $17, which it's just, when you read a lot of books, it's hard to pay that much per book. So I kind of changed my plan a little bit. I decided not to pursue some of the newer releases and instead kind of venture out and look at some older releases or books from authors that I've been interested in but I haven't bought from before. Additionally, I did have a mini heart attack because there are prequels to the Throne of Glass series. There's a prequel and I didn't read it. It's called, I think, The Assassin's Blade or something like that. I didn't read that. I went right into Throne of Glass. So I still don't really know if that was okay or not, but it is what I did. So I didn't buy the next ones because I didn't know that my copy of Throne of Glass is the new cover, but it was $10 because it was used, and all the new covered copies are like, they're like $19. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just not that girl. And it's really sad because I can get cheaper versions of these books at Barnes & Noble and Target. And I would love to support local bookstores, but it's just so expensive to buy books at that price. So We went in a little bit of a different direction, but I'm really excited to share with you the books that I ended up picking up because I did end up getting 6. First and foremost, I picked up Divergent by Veronica Roth. I was not a Divergent kid. This series, I don't think it came out after my interest in science fiction and fantasy left. I wasn't interested in this kind of book. Hunger Games kind of turned me off of this kind of book for a while, so I've never read this series, and I think this cover is so cute. It is a little bit damaged, but that's all right because this book was $12.99 and this is a super cute cover. And I also really like it because the print is like quite large, and I'm not a fan of large print books, but I am a fan of books with larger print. Does that make sense? Anyway, this book is about Beatrice, who has to decide which faction to go into, and she can either choose to go with the one that her family is historically in, or she can go to where she wants. I don't know what happens in this book. I think I watched the first movie, and that's not my type of movie. It's not normally my type of book either, but I've been really into books that have more of that fantasy or science fiction element, so I did end up picking this up. Next, I kind of returned to my roots a little bit and got the Bookshop of Second Chances by Jackie Fraser, and this book is about a Scottish woman. So she ends up leaving her husband after about 20 years and finds out that she has, like, one of her relatives' estate has been left vacant by a recent death, so she ends up kind of running away from her problems and encounters a bookshop that feels a little bit magical, a little bit out of this world, and a very gruff book shopkeeper. This feels just up my alley. It was shelved as literature. It does have that like chick lit feel to it that I am really excited to read. This just seems like kind of a cozy little beach novel that I'm really excited to get to. And since we're in the business of naming prices, this book was $11.95, which automatically had it added to my cart. Oh, next, I picked up The Push by Ashley Audrain. I've heard a lot of really great things. You'll notice that a lot of the books that I picked up are kind of busted, and that's because they were the cheaper versions. So The Push by Ashley Audrain, this was really popular, I think, last year or so, but from what I understand, it's kind of a suspense novel. This book is about a new mother and her new baby, and the new mother coming to terms with something not being quite right with her baby. I've heard really great things about this. It seems like a perfect kind of like on the edge of your seat book. I think this is shelved as speculative. It was in the literature section as well. And this book was also $11.95. I did find Normal People by Sally Rooney. I just recently picked up another Sally Rooney book and I haven't read it yet, but I did hear from some people that because I really liked Really Good Actually by Monica Hasey, I will probably like Sally Rooney's writing. This book says that it's about a story of mutual fascination, friendship, and love, and I love those type of books. I know Sally Rooney's writing style isn't for everybody, but I am hoping it's for me because I do own 2 of her books now and I haven't read either of them. And I know that it's a Hulu show, as these little printed stickers continue to tell us. I'm thinking that if I do really like this book, that I'll end up watching the show. That could be really exciting. And this book was also $11.95. I ended up picking an Ellen Hildebrand book up. I have not read from this author. I picked up The Identicals by Ellen Hildebrand. She has a new release that just came out that a lot of people have been talking about and really loving. Once again, the book price was just a little bit cost prohibitive for me, so I ended up picking up something off of her backlist. You can see that this one was clearly purchased at Target, so I was excited to pick this one up for a little bit cheaper than it probably originally was. This book is about estranged twin sisters going on a vacation. This book also has a bit of a larger print to it. At the end of my book shopping trip, when I was kind of going through, I had 7 books in my cart. I was going through each of the books and trying to decide if I needed all 7, because that is a lot of books. I was reading the first pages, and this is one of the books that I was like iffy about, but after reading the first sentence of this book, I knew that I wanted to keep it. There was just something alluring about that first paragraph that had me sucked in. It says, Like thousands of other erudite, discerning people, you've decided to spend your summer vacation on an island off the coast of Massachusetts. You want postcard beaches. You want to swim, sail, and surf in Yankee blue waters. You want to eat clam chowder and lobster rolls. You want those dishes served to you by someone who calls them chowder and lobster. This book was only $9.95, which seems like such a great deal. I have a beach trip coming up in August, and this is definitely going to be coming with me on that trip if I don't get to it before then. Last and certainly not least, I picked up Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This book ruled my teenage years. I was an Uglies and Twilight girl, and I haven't read this book in so long. And I saw it, this copy, this is the print, this is a version that I had read when I was in high school. And I just remember very specific phrases that they use in this book. They talk about like bubbles and champagne and the feeling of it on your mouth, and the scooters, and all of the everything that was described in this book just brings me like back to being a teenager. And I'm really excited to reread this again. I've been pretty hesitant to pick up YA, young adult fiction, but what was interesting yesterday is in the young adult section, it seems like there's actually quite a bit of crossover between young adult and adult books. I think I have like a little bit of a mental block on buying new young adult books, but these aren't new, and I'm really excited to get to this. If you haven't read this book or this book series, I highly recommend it. It's essentially about a world where at around 16 you get a surgery that makes you beautiful and makes you perfect. You go from being an ugly to a pretty. Our main girl Tally, she has a new friend who is like very hesitant to get the surgery, and we dive into why that is. And this book was $6.95. That's amazing. Those are all the books that I ended up picking up yesterday. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you've picked up any good reads lately. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.